Good evening and welcome to another edition of Folks Talkin Sports. I am one of the co-hosts, Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. If you're seeing us on the screen, you see Andy Yanez. How are you, sir, in the upper right corner?
Doing good, Kris. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Lower left corner, Mr. Willy Gibson. How are you, sir, from WTG Sports?
Doing well, sir. How about you?
Pretty well. And last but not least, the youngster of the group, James Mueller, sports editor of the Daily Cougar. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
Okay, we got a lot to discuss, kick around. Let's go with football news first, pro football news first. Get it out of the way. It's going to go football, and then UH and even some Rice info to share. Deshaun Watson, 11-game suspension. Willy Gibson, you had some great insight you shared. Share it again, including the logic behind Deshaun Watson and why he wanted 11 games and not 12.
Yeah, the 11-game suspension. In addition to that, a $5 million fine donated to charity to educate those against children against sexual assault. The reason for the 11 and not 12 is for accrual season purposes. In order to get credit towards free agency, towards year season credit, you have to play at least 6 games. So the 11 is a compromise by the league, allowing him to get an accrued season. Had it been 12, he would have played 5 games and not gotten an accrued season for the 2022 season. So that's the reason. Oh, actually, if you can look at it like this, a win for Deshaun Watson that he gets 11, that he's allowed to play 6 games.
Andy, James, did y'all know that? I didn't know that.
I did not.
No.
See, Willy Gibson, that's why another reason why you're on the show, man. You know, from the Ohio State University. We don't hold that against you. So, but great insight there. And plus, you're big time athletics. The three of us are just trying to become medium time athletics at the University of Houston. So while I said this, and Tony, how are you guys? Got folks chiming on YouTube who are family members from the Let's Talk Houston Rockets show. Thank you for your time and chiming in. All right. Big Ten media rights. Let's discuss that. And Willie, you got it. You got some more info to share. We can talk about it. 7-year deal. First things first. Kudos to Commissioner Kevin Warren, because it's only 7 years. They get to do this again. They mean the Big Ten can go back to the negotiating table one more time before the SEC. Brilliant. Willie Gibson, you got it.
It's chess. As we said the other day, it's chess, not checkers.
Yep.
And that's what Kevin Warren's doing. He took a lot of heat, no pun intended, early on in his tenure. Canceling the season due to COVID, allowing the season to be played in 2020. But kudos to him. I mean, 7-year deal. The conference at minimum will receive $1.2 billion in TV rights money from Fox, NBC, as well. Fox, NBC, and now CBS has a portion of the Big Ten as well. So the way it would go is Fox still gets the big noon kickoff. They get first choice of their choosing of the noon kickoff. Then at 3:30, whereas it used to be the SEC on CBS, now it's the Big Ten on CBS. Now this is beginning 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So 2024, July 1, 2024 is when it starts. So Fox at noon, CBS at 3:30, and then there's a primetime Saturday night in the Big Ten on NBC beginning in 2024. So the 8 p.m. kickoff in concert with USC and we hope UCLA. There's been some discussions with UCLA and the California Board of Regents, them coming to the Big Ten. So that's still in discussion. But NBC has a primetime package. that they'll be doing for the Big Ten as well. So $1.2 billion per year, 7-year deal. Years previous, Big Ten schools would bring in $54.3 million per school in TV media rights. As a result of this deal, that number now goes to $75 million minimum. There's some escalators in there that the $7 billion total of the deal could go to $11 billion if certain escalators are met. At minimum, $75 million per school for 7 years.
And the deal is backloaded a little bit, taking into account CBS still has a part of SEC, and of course UCLA. Most likely they're gonna join. Politicians, you guys tell me, have you heard of any political figures who have blocked a move from a state school to a new conference? They've hemmed and hawed about it, but have they actually made it happen? No? Anybody?
Nope.
Okay, so more than likely UCLA will be part of it. But we got to get into this. Andy, James, get your thoughts on this as well. Commissioner Warren, I think the segment Real Sports on HBO will air on Tuesday the 23rd with Brian Gumbel. Brian Gumbel asked him a couple of things. One, could he foresee paying players? Commissioner Warren said yes. Then he asked him, could he foresee getting the 20 teams? He said yes. Gentlemen, Andy, James, either one of you first take this. What are your thoughts on that about possibly going to 20? And how soon do you think that would happen?
It's the idea of the super conferences that we have mentioned throughout all the summer, that it seems like it's kind of an inevitability. There we go. I got that word right. In terms of where things are going when it comes to college football, where it's the Big Ten, the SEC, and everyone else. And it's intriguing when you look at the deal. The Big Ten negotiated in a way, if they can add more members before the end of the contract, the value for the individual schools or the total value of the deal increases, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Which is another, like you said, Will, that's another chess move on the part of the Big Ten, where they're not this deal, as eye-popping as it is with the numbers that each member is receiving today. It also has eyes towards the future, and it's no secret that's what the goal of the Big Ten is. They're looking to, whether it's 20, whether it's more, whether it's just under, they're still looking to continue to expand, and they're the ones that are have the eyes on the future and are open for business. To quote the Big 12, the new Big 12 commissioner, what Brett Yormark said.
James, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like both Will and Andy talked about, this deal is geared towards the future. It puts the Big Ten in a nice position, especially with college athletics, just how rapidly they're changing. This was a great deal for the Big Ten, it seems like, but then also being able to, renegotiate, like you said, before the SEC comes up again, that's huge. And just it's another step forward for the Big Ten to put them in prime position to succeed as college athletics continues to change and just look different across the as a whole.
Will, what were you going to say?
Yeah, just real quick. I had somebody reached out to me on social media Friday and said, "Man, I hope this $75 million goes towards tuition for the general student body." And I said, "Well, let's talk about that." And I said, "This is again chestnut checkers. Think about it. People don't realize is that Ohio State, I can't speak for Northwestern or Indiana or Wisconsin, but Ohio State has an endowment right now, $6.8 billion. So for everyone that's worried about this $75 million from TV rights, $6.8 billion endowment for the academic side. So the $75 million won't come near a scratch of that.
That's a great point. And me, as a basketball guy, got to talk about the basketball part of this. Yep. And here we go. CBS will broadcast up to 11 regular season men's basketball games in 2023 and will carry 15 13 of which will be conference games starting in 2024. And this is courtesy of The Athletic. CBS will still carry the Big Ten tournament and championship game. That's the men's side. And I think they will also begin carrying the women's tournament championship final. Here's an issue I think could be an issue. Peacock streaming platform, NBC streaming platform, will stream 32 regular season men's basketball games, 20 conference games in 23-24, and 47 games, 32 which will be conference games from 24-25 onward, as well as the Big Ten tournament's opening night double hitter. Peacock will also stream 30 regular season women's games, 20 conference games per year in 2023-2024. Fellas, how many Big Ten fans, basketball fans, are going to watch those games on Peacock?
A lot. A lot.
You think so?
Absolutely. Yep.
James, Andy?
Well, if I was a Big Ten fan, I would have the ability to be able to watch it with Peacock. But I agree with Will. I think it depends on the when it comes to the streaming platforms, it's certainly going to appeal to a lot more of the diehard of the fan bases, which it doesn't matter where the game is on, they're going to find a way to be able to watch it on whatever platform is necessary. And I agree with Will. I think there'll be a good, significant portion of fans that watch the games on Peacock. Now, obviously, I don't expect it to be like anywhere near close to the linear networks, but it should be an impressive amount.
James?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have enough information to know, but just based on Big Ten fan bases and just the way they travel, the level of support they show their schools, I imagine that the streaming on Peacock won't be an issue of drawing in viewership.
All right, next, Fox and FS1 will carry a minimum of 45 regular season men's basketball games per year, while the Big Ten Network will carry a minimum of 126 men's games per year, including airing the 4 games of the quarterfinals of the Big Ten men's basketball tournament. Okay, a lot. Mr. Gibson and Andy, a lot. How will that compare to when the games were on ESPN, ESPN2, etc.?
Well, yeah, linear is definitely going to always, no pun intended, trump that. But I know a Peacock monthly subscription right now is $4.95. So there it is. Tony said it. So I can see a multitude of Big Ten fans for the price of a Starbucks coffee signing up for Peacock and watching a November matchup between Indiana and Belmar University. They just will.
James?
Well, I had a question. So you said it's $4.95, right?
Yes.
Right.
Is that just like month by month, or is that like locked into a?
Per month.
Okay, then yeah, that makes it pretty simple because 4 or 5 months that people will rent, that's $20-$25 that they're spending a year. That's nothing to most of these people. So I didn't realize the prices were that low for a month. So yeah.
Yeah, Peacock is not FloSports. FloSports is like $30 a month.
What's FloSports? I'm not familiar.
See, there we go there. It's a streaming platform. It's one of the first streaming platforms.
Okay.
Big East women's basketball has a lot of their games on there. But it also streams a lot of sports. Olympic sports, wrestling, track and field. I mean, a lot of sports that are for not major conferences.
Okay.
But when I used to have it, and let me say, it's $30 per month, or you can get it annually for $150, something like that. $150, I think so. Yeah, because you save $210 if you get it annual. So yeah. And for example, Will, James, and Andy, FloSports will show, or does show, a lot of the women's basketball pre-conference multi-team events. Like UH women's basketball is going to be in the St. Pete Showcase in Florida, St. Petersburg, Florida. That'll be on FloSports in November around Thanksgiving. So, but $30 for a month to watch 2 days of women's basketball. That's, trust me, I've heard for a couple of years now, fans of women's college basketball, what in the hell? Are you kidding me? Because I think last season, 2 seasons ago, one of the tournaments had a matchup of like UConn and South Carolina, okay, in a multi-team event on FloSports. Fans are like, I'm not paying $30 just to watch UConn and South Carolina, okay? So there are, good and bad issues with it. And also, the broadcast quality is not great. They do have one of the tournaments I saw last season. And every so often, I do get a media pass, not all the time, unfortunately, where they have like the students do the announcing, student crews, communication majors doing the games. So sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Camera angles, they may have 3 cameras. So midcourt and then baselines. That's kind of it. Not many commercials. Halftime is one long logo of FloSports. That's it. Okay. So it's up to you if you want to do that. But we'll see how Peacock is. Like I said, prices is much better than FloSports. I think Big Ten, maybe hockey or something like that, is part of FloSports. Now you get subscription to it. You get all the other sports too. So baseball, boxing, volleyball, track, softball. So there's a flow basketball, flow hoops, flow football, etc. So you get all those as well, not just if you wanted to watch one, basketball. You get every other sport too. So it's a question of what you're going to pay. So I'm surprised that it's still around, honestly, because the price points are so high. But hey, they're still around. They announced some deals with Division II conferences last week. So keep that in mind. Mr. Gibson.
Yes, sir.
You have touched on it a few times. I think James has as well, about UH athletics giving updates toward the Houston Rise fundraising campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Case in point. And I think James, they've finally done that. But case in point. August 17th, Rice Athletics announced a record-breaking fundraising fiscal year. Fiscal year 2022, which ended on July 31st, Rice has moved more than halfway past its $100 million campaign goal. They've raised $56 million since their announcement of joining the American last summer. So $56 million toward $100 million.
Okay.
All right. Nearly 1,900 donors contributed $19.3 million in the fiscal year. So this is all in the press release. Rice already had $40 million in commitments, and they got additional donations, commitments to reach the $56 million toward the campaign goal ending fiscal year 2022. So now, this coming season for 22-23, they are $44 million remains to reach their goal. Mr. Gibson, are updates like that what you're referring to for youth athletics?
Somewhat, yes. Yes.
James, you agree? Andy, you agree?
Did they just provide that update like once per fiscal year, or was it?
Well, they announced this on Wednesday. So I saw it. I'm not sure how often they make the updates. I'm not sure about that.
I mean, something like that. I'd prefer like if UH did like, a quarterly or monthly, something like that. But yeah, something like that.
Now, I will say, guys, that I get emails from Rice for all the sports unlike my alma mater. But I digress. Okay, Andy, what were you going to say?
I was going to say UH gave an update. I believe it was this past Tuesday when Holgerson spoke to reporters when they announced a new, and actually I can't remember. It might be 2 weeks. These days are kind of all coming together. But when they announced one of the, I believe it was a $5 million donation, and the name of the family is slipping my mind. But when they
Trisha
announced
and
it,
Rusty Pinnick.
there you go. Oh, the Penix, I barely realized that they're the ones that have the name on the Fertitta Center court,
Yes,
correct?
sir. Correct. You
Yeah.
got it.
So when they announced their donation, they did give an update that they had surpassed 30 million of the initial $150 million goal that they had set out. So they're about 20% of the way, or now over 20% of the way when it comes to the Rise campaign that kicked off just over 2 months ago.
And Will, James and I know that Andy has contributed about 20 million toward that 30 million. Right?
Understood.
So, yeah.
That's
So
what
Tony,
he said.
right? Tony and Wise Citizen, you guys on YouTube, and he's banking like that. So
I'm not even close.
all right, but yeah, just wanted to tie that in, some Rice news, so folks don't say y'all only talk about Houston athletics. Why don't you talk about somebody? Well, there you go, mission accomplished, and we'll do so more in the future. Press on that, guys. Houston Cougars men's basketball announced this afternoon. Mr. Gibson, you got a player entering the transfer portal.
Oh,
Kiyron Powell. James, what were your thoughts when you saw the email press release?
It didn't surprise me at all, to be honest. I thought he would have transferred earlier in the summer. I did not think he was going to stick around just because he probably still wouldn't have seen the court much this year. It would have been, mop up duty minutes, and he's sat out. This was his third year with the program. He hasn't had any significant playing time or anything. So I mean, it didn't surprise me at all that, he wants an opportunity to play. So yeah.
Andy?
Well, same thoughts as James, and I was looking at the UH men's basketball website, and man, they are quick. He is no longer on the roster when it comes to the 2022-23 season. But yeah, like James hit on all the points, he's been here since the 2020-21 season. Hasn't been really able to get on the floor on a consistent basis, and really it kind of seemed like the writing was on the wall when they officially announced that they had been able to get to transfer. Darius Bowser, I believe that was his name. And then obviously, of course, it already seemed like he was going to be behind the 8 ball when it came to Reggie Chaney and Jawan Roberts, who kind of had solidified their roles this past season. So with the addition of Bowser, it kind of seemed like he was stuck, once again, kind of playing fourth fiddle to the Cougars as starting center front court rotation. And at the end of the day, it was interesting how in the news release, it was relatively short, and they did include a statement from Calvin Sampson where they wished him the best of luck in all his future endeavors wherever he goes.
Yeah, here's a quote. Here's a quote. We wish Kiyron the best in the next chapter of his life. End quote. Mr. Gibson. Okay. Now the press release says it cites or references that Kiyron left the program for personal reasons and will enter the transfer portal. So don't know what those personal reasons are, but wishing the best of luck. I could be cynical and say something along the lines of, you don't buy into the culture, you don't buy in, bye. He didn't buy in, apparently. So he's gone. So anybody out there watching on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, it's not a big loss. Trust me, it's not a big loss. And as Andy referenced, when Coach Sampson touched on it about potentially adding to the front court depth, and then the next day they signed Darius Bowser, Coach Sampson is not surprised by Kiyron Powell in the transfer portal. you guys who follow the program, men's basketball fans, Coach Sampson ain't a rookie. Okay, this ain't his first year. It's not his first rodeo. So nobody out there, I don't have seen it yet, but some fans, woe is me. Well, no, none of that. None of that. Okay, Kiyron, good luck to you, young fella. Okay, good luck to you. Your next place. On to the next. Mr. Gibson, Mr. Mueller, Mr. Yanez.
Mm-hmm.
I got some news to share for you, Mr. Gibson.
Please.
August 18th. Two things happened on August 18th. I'm not sure if Andy or James knew about this one. But the NCAA Men's Final Four and the Houston Local Organizing Committee launched a class for select students at Houston Baptist University, Rice University, Texas Southern, and U of H. It's called the Business of Major Sporting Events. And it'll be taught at the Ion, which is a sweet place. If y'all haven't been there yet, it's nice.
I have been there. It is a really nice place.
It's very nice. Teach a class spanning 2 semesters, which will provide students with a unique, first-of-its-kind format that combines classroom experience and field work, focusing on the planning surrounding the men's Final Four, which we all know will take place in H-Town the spring of 2023. I was there at the press conference. Glad to be there. One of Rice women's basketball players, Ashley Austin, who interned this summer with the organizing committee, she spoke for a few minutes. And well, we're old heads. I'm not sure how the youngsters think about this. They might have thought the same, like Ashley. I spoke to her before everything started, and I asked her, I said, Ashley, I see you speaking today. She said, yeah. And I said, did you let your coach know? No, I didn't. I guess I should have, huh? It's like, yeah, it's kind of a big deal. Oh, well, maybe I should have. Okay, well, no big deal.
Who's the young lady play for? Who?
Huh? She plays for Rice. Rice University. One of their best players, too. So,
wow. They don't like a SID or?
She didn't tell him either. So I was like, okay, Ashley, but I did post on Twitter some of her comments, and the SID and the coach did retweet it. So, okay.
Wow.
Young generation, I'm not sure, James, if you'd have done the same thing and not told your coach about your speaking engagement. I don't know, but that kind of surprised me. Anyway, okay, now the bigger news. Mr. Gibson.
Yes.
UH Athletics announced a partnership with Shipley Do-Nuts. Shipley Do-Nuts, yes, a multi-year partnership that will establish Shipley as the official coffee, donut, and cold brew of the Houston Cougars. It's the largest partnership of its kind in Shipley's history. It's a multi-year collaboration, and the partnership also advances with the Houston Rise campaign, which 50% of the investment will be dedicated to the construction of the Cougars Football Operations Center. Thoughts on that? Anybody?
Yeah, I'll go first. I think that's a really sweet deal, no pun intended, for the Houston Cougars, especially when you that last point you mentioned in terms of how it's going to go and help to the Houston Rise campaign. And you look at a lot of kind of the branding that's now going to be available at TDCU Stadium and the Fertitta Center when it comes to Shipley's Donuts. I believe, if I remember correctly, that they're going to start offering some Shipley's offerings at the stadiums, correct? Or
Correct.
am I just
Correct.
okay?
Yeah.
I did remember reading that from the news release, and again, it's something that we've touched on, and we should segue. If Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme wants to be the official donut of Folks Talkin Sports, they should hit up my man Chris Gardner, or if Shipley's wants to carry the torch. But yeah, I think that's a monumental deal, and it's a step in the right direction. You can never have too many deals when it comes to branding. Obviously, it's good to have the official anything of the Houston Cougars, and two, that they found a way to get it to contribute to the Houston Rise, which I think is pretty huge in my opinion. 2
comments, James, and I'll let you have at it. One, I've never had the Shipley coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, but if anybody has, Tony's not too thrilled with the coffee, but loves them donuts. Okay. Why Citizen says Shipley has the best donuts in the U.S. Will, you gotta come down. You do have to come down here, man, one time and just spend time with us and try donuts as well, in addition to other things, But they are good. They are really good. James, what are your thoughts on the arrangement, the partnership?
Yeah, I mean, Andy hit most of the main points. Just getting a big brand like that is great for the university as a whole. And we've touched on it on this show before, just how UH has to move away from just relying on, the older, rich alums to provide all the support. So this is a good start. Like you said, and like it's been made clear in the comment section, everyone's familiar with Shipley's. It's just an easy way to go. So I think it's a great deal. And, incorporating the products into the stadium is also, another great way. And like Andy said, it's just another avenue opened up to, pour money into the Houston Rise campaign. So it's a positive step for the University of Houston Athletic Department.
Now, more news to share from UH Athletics. It's a busy week. Football's getting close, and Andy will touch on that because we're less than 2 weeks now from Let's Rage Cougs. But
13 days now.
August 17th, also busy day. UH announced, and the Houston Cougars Sports Properties announced a new partnership with Tailgate Express, Mr. Gibson, for all tailgate and hospitality needs at Cougar Alley for Houston football home games beginning this season. Fans, Ninja, Y Citizens, Tony, can choose from standard, deluxe, and executive experiences through the Tailgate Express website. Each package available has different levels of service, amenities, and hospitality options that will create the ultimate game day tailgating experience for fans. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
One of the first things you notice, like outside of TDECU Stadium, is most of the only tailgate places are like frats and sororities. So, being able to provide options for fans, alums, whatever, is definitely a great deal. It'll all be interesting to see like how well they do, just because we've mentioned on the show countless times how football struggles with attendance. So we'll see, how well these packages do, and if they encourage, more people to come out, because you get more of a true game day atmosphere, which has been lacking at UH in football. Just, being able to have these setups, go for the game, grill out, do whatever, and then go watch the game and go hang out after. So, yeah, I think, it's another, we've all agreed that UH needed some sort of new tailgating option. We've talked about things at Cincinnati. I sent something from West Virginia a couple weeks ago. There's been, you see it all over the country, and UH has been lacking that. So it's definitely another nice addition. Like I said, but I'll just be interested to see how well it actually does, and if it does draw more people out to the stadium.
Andy?
Absolutely. Like how James said, in terms of it'll be kind of wait and see to see how much of that buy-in is. When you look at the prices, I believe the cheapest one, if we're looking at just a standard package and kind of interesting that the three teams that were the cheapest were Temple, Tulane, and Tulsa, the three T's, but they hovered around $500 just for the standard package, and it goes up all the way to, I believe, close to $1,600 for the executive package that they termed. But I think, once again, it's another step in the right direction, just having those flexible options out there. And at the end of the day, you have to kind of set the infrastructure in place before. Now it's up to UH fans to be able to buy in. Now, the promotion of it, that's another aspect of it.
Will, do the Buckeyes partner with Tailgate Express or something like that similar up there?
No, that was the one thing I researched this after I saw your post. Now, yes, you can secure the tailgate spot. You provide your own amenities, grill, beverages, food, what have you. But no, there's no organization or company that provides white linen service for tailgating.
Could I add one more thing?
Yes, sir.
I was going to say, one thing I wonder about, just like what the overall success is. I assume I looked at the website. Anyone can buy a package, right?
Yes.
Like next year, if UH fans don't show up, is it going to be Cougar Alley's the UH team walks through before the game, but is it going to be a bunch of Baylor people buying that package? TC like Big 12, like that's another thing. Like,
well, that's a good question. The link in the press release, because Tailgate Express does partner with other schools as well, but it's tailgate-express.com/UH. So we'll see if Baylor fans or other fans go to that link and do it. That's a good question, James. I don't know. But I got it here. Standard package. Each package, you get a reserved tailgate space at Cougar Alley. Standard accommodates up to 10 guests. Deluxe up to 20 guests. Executive up to 40 guests. Standard, you get one 10 by 10 tent, high peak tent. Deluxe, one 10 by 20. Executive, one 20 by 20 high peak tent. Standard, 5 tailgate chairs. Deluxe, 10 tailgate chairs. Executive, 15 tailgate chairs. Standard, 1 8-foot table with linen. Deluxe, 2 8-foot tables with linens. And executive, 3 8-foot tables with linens. Standard, 1 120-quart cooler with ice, limited to 40 pounds of ice. Deluxe, 2 cocktail tables with linens, as well as 2 120-quart coolers with ice. Executive is 3 tables with linens and 3 120-quart coolers with ice. Standard, 1 35-gallon trash can with liner. That's the same for all 3 levels. Standard has 1 personalized sign, same for all 3 levels. And each has access, Mr. Gibson, to bellhop service.
Okay. Now, bellhop service. I was just thinking. I didn't realize it when I read it. Now, as I'm hearing you read it back, I'm thinking. Okay, that's great. Tables, chairs, ice, coolers. Great. Is there a meal involved in this, or is that the bellhop service, or?
I think that's a good question. I think you bring your own. That's a good question. Each level has a media and power package. Includes an elevated 42-inch HD TV, satellite service, and generator.
Okay.
And then pricing, media package per game is $600 for the season. Is a little less than $3,000 for the season. Tent with the fan generator, $350, and then extra chairs, bundle of 5. 1 bundle is $50, 2 bundles $100, 3 bundles is $150. Those prices I think are the same for each of the 3 tiers. And honestly, Tailgate Express, UH, y'all should pay Folks Talkin Sports for mentioning this so long in detail. But just toss it out there, anyhow. But gentlemen, you see that right there?
Ooh.
Got a viewer from London, UK. Another supporter, viewer of the Let's Talk Houston Rockets. He just says we can call him Al P, because I tried to pronounce that name right there, and he said, Kris, just call me Al P. I said, okay. But thank you for tuning in to Folks Talkin Sports. Not much Rockets talk today. Might get some in at the end of this show. Andy, you want to try your luck at predicting wins and losses for the Rockets schedule now that it's come out? Try it again.
We can try it again. I was way off last season. I had picked them going 31, winning 31 games, and Kris, you were much closer than I was.
So we might do that. But Delio right there, that's another new name. You see, folks are tuning in. We appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching the show. Okay, last Sunday. Thank you. We appreciate this comment very much. We appreciate the support. We really do. Thank you. Tuning in again. And LP, if you haven't watched Saturday's Let's Talk Houston Rockets, check it out, because we did a little bit of a breakdown of predictions for the November Rockets schedule. Rockets got 10 of their first 13 games on the road. 10 of the first 13. That is, according to the team, that is the most road games to start a season in the history of the NBA.
Wow.
So, man, I don't know what Coach Silas did to warrant that. But yeah, flip it around, of course. December will be much better. But 10 your first 13 games for a young team on the road. Woo, boy. So there we go with that. All right, I think we're good. We might have a surprise guest, assuming technical issues don't pop up, which they happen all the time here. But if she does, Mr. Gibson, we're in for a treat.
Okay.
So we'll see if she's able to pop in and do it. She's a college student like James is, so she should have some intelligence. Andy is recent UH grad, so he's smart too, as some of his commercials and things that he's put together indicate. They're much smarter than me, Will. I'm not going to say they're much smarter than you, but they're much smarter than me. So, okay. I think that's all the news that I had for us to share off the top of my head. James, Andy, UH. And there she is. Let's see it. Miss Laila Blair, junior guard for the Houston Cougars women's basketball team. How are you, lady?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing pretty well. Thank you very much for doing this. Kind of short notice, kind of a surprise guest for you to pop on here on the show. James, I think you were part of the press conference that Coach Huey had Friday, right?
Yeah.
Andy, I think you've seen it.
Correct.
Coach Ronald Huey, Laila's head coach, talked about Laila being a vocal leader and improving her leadership skills. First, Laila, what were your thoughts when you heard those comments?
It was an honor, honestly. I really appreciate anybody that has any great words to say about me. I'm very thankful and grateful for that because I don't take it for granted. It's a blessing, man, to be thought of in a high regard. So I'm blessed, man. I'm thankful for it. It was awesome to hear.
Now, I don't know, because I didn't post it. I don't know if Andy or James did or other colleagues. Coach Huey also said you should be the AAC preseason player of the year. Thoughts on that?
Man, he knows what I'm already thinking, man. The goal in mind. So, like I say all the time, I don't put no limit on myself. It's as far as God want to take me with it this year, as far as the accolades and whatever. The end goal that I want over anything is to be a champion. So whether that's AAC champion or, the champion in the NCAA tournament. So, yeah, but he already knows where I'm at with that. And I appreciate him for believing in me.
What have you worked on this summer, basketball-wise?
Man, everything. I think it's everything, touching up on everything as far as, my skill set with dribbling, picking my spots, shooting on the move, shooting off the dribble, creating shots off on the ball, off the ball. So it's just touching up on everything as far as that. And not only that, making strengths in different areas as far as, my agility so I can play defense, be a lockdown defender. So I think everything applied, just getting in great shape. And not only that, sharpening up my skills because you can never stop doing that. You can never stop growing in those areas. So just continue to work on everything, dribbling, ball handling, shooting, like I said, all different types of shots, and just getting ready, man.
Andy, James, you got any questions for Miss Blair?
Yeah, I can go. Laila, Coach Huey, when he talked to us the other day, said that you were one of the players that have been able to capitalize on a lot of NIL stuff. Could you just talk to us about that and just sort of what that's meant to be able to, when you're in college, take advantage of this, new era of college sports where you're able to use these NIL opportunities to, capitalize on just the use of your image?
Yes. I'm actually glad that you asked about that because it's been nothing but, a blessing, honestly, for me, just having the opportunity to use my name, image, and likeness and brand myself because that's something that I've always wanted to at least aspire to do. So, to be in this position, to be able to, monetize off my, my image and my brand and who I am is a blessing. But not only that, being able to impact people through my brand. That's my biggest thing. I'm thankful for NIL in that sense because I can actually, use my brand to actually touch and impact lives in a great way. And we all know money is involved in that, regardless in whatever you do. So it's a blessing, but the real impact about it all is being able to, you know, touch lives through my brand and being able to brand myself to where I can be a positive, you know, light for other athletes across the world that may want to come into this or doing it right now. So just those two things has been great as far as being able to have this opportunity as far as NIL, being able to impact people, but not only that, you know, being able to show others that, you know, they can do it as well, but not only just do it, but do it for off the firm of their beliefs and who they are, which, you know, my what I stand firm on, and that's my faith. So I try to inspire all, you know, athletes across the world that are Christians, that you can glorify God through your name, image, and likeness. So, yeah, I appreciate it a lot.
Laila, plug the company, plug the sponsors, plug some of your folks.
So I do have Eat Flavorly. They're like a meal prep company. They do meal preps, like different meals, and they're like convenient meals where you can pop in the microwave for a certain amount of minutes. I have You Faith, and they're a faith-based, you know, NIL deal as far as for Christian athletes, Christian, you know, basketball players. It's You Faith Hoops, and just giving Christian athletes a platform to really, you know, show, you know, their faith to others and being able to live boldly in that. So that's a blessing as well. Who else? I actually have another one with NFT. I haven't done it. I haven't dropped it yet, so I can't give you too many details on that. So I have to still run some details with just them on that as far as the NFT, but I should be doing something with the NFT as far as that for my name, image, and likeness. The company for that is Digital Dope.
Stop right there. Pause right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you, James, and Andy. I'm not speaking for you, Will, to help me with NFTs because I read about it and it is still not getting through my old bald head. So I'm going to need the young folks to help me with that.
Speak for me as well.
Okay. So good luck to that. And when you announce that, I read some of it. It's still one ear and out the other. I'm just like, okay. Yeah. So when that is announced, I look forward to you having a class on that for old folks like me. But go ahead and continue.
Yeah, so you want me to explain the NFT or just continue?
Oh, no. That's later on.
Okay. But another one is I actually go do a photo shoot for them this Tuesday, and that's Uncle Funky's daughter. It's a hair product. So I'm supposed to be doing that. And I think I'm doing it with another athlete. I don't know who exactly, so I don't just want to name names. So
okay.
But yeah, that's a hair product for, like, you know, women. It's especially for, like, you know, thick hair and stuff like that. It's a hair product. It's pretty cool. Based on, you know, the South. It's a company that's, you know, been around for a long time, so it's really cool, honestly. Other than that, that's about it, honestly, that I can really just say that's been, you know, kind of solidified in some way. Oh, also I have Grind. I'm doing a campaign with Grind Basketball, and I'm supposed to be partnering with them, and it's a campaign with bringing more awareness to women's sports. So I'm supposed to be doing that soon too. So yeah, I think those are the main ones right now.
Andy, got any questions for Laila Blair?
Yeah, Laila, kind of following up the theme here when it comes to what Ron Huey said this past week. But one of the things that he's mentioned throughout is really the way that Houston likes to run their offense is much more of a player-oriented system that, in his words, a lot of his players, they like to be in the system. They feel like they're involved, and it gives players the ability to be able to share the role. I'm just curious from your perspective, what has it been like playing under Ronald Huey for the last few seasons, and is there anything you're excited for going forward, upcoming? This is going to be the last year in the American Athletic Conference.
Yeah, man, great question. Honestly, it's been a heck of a ride. I'm thankful, I'm blessed for it, because he's actually been able to, you know, bring the best out of me. And just different ways, like I would say just pushing me, past my limits, putting me in areas where I have to, really grow out of it, putting me in uncomfortable positions to where I have to elevate to that next level. So I'm grateful and thankful for that, for these past 2 years that I've been under. And, I really I respect anybody that pushes me and wants the best for me. So even though sometimes it can feel like, I don't know if he's really doing this for the best of me, but at the end, when I see, myself excelling and, propelling to being the best that I can be in a great way and in front of other people, I see like this is why, he was doing this. This is why, he was able to, put me in these positions so that in this moment I can show up and I can show who I was. So I'm thankful for it. He's been a great help. So I'm excited because I've been under him for 2 years. So I built that trust with him. So just being able to continue to build, on our relationship as far as, him being able to trust me and me being able to trust him, honestly, because it's been a ride just with that, building that trust and just, that bond and that relationship to where, I'm a point guard, combo guard. So I have to be able to have that line of communication with him, because if I don't, it won't be able to show up on the court as far as me being able to lead my team as far as in that regard, if I'm not, being led in a great way by him. So definitely thankful and grateful for him just pushing me and being able to, help me to become the best that I can.
Willy Gibson, do you have any questions for Laila?
I do. First thing, Laila, I want to thank you for joining us. Very impressive young lady. My first opportunity to interact with you. So you're very, very impressive. You mentioned your leadership as a point guard, combo guard. What did it mean to you as a sophomore to be named team captain?
Man, I'm honored. You don't even know. I'm so grateful. And I don't, like I said, I don't take stuff like that lightly, because just to have my teammates and my coaches to see me as, a leader, a captain, to be able to have that voice, to be able to have that voice on the team, it's major. And I'm very thankful for it, because at the end of the day, if I don't have their support, I don't have the confidence in them, they don't have confidence in me, it won't work out. I won't be able to be the best player that I can be if I don't have their full support, and if, vice versa. So I think just being able to be named a captain as a sophomore was a blessing. It was definitely a blessing. And, being named a captain this year, going to my junior year. So, like I said, I'm thankful, and I thank my teammates and just giving me the opportunity to, be a captain, honestly.
How, if you know off the top of your head, how many of your teammates also have NIL deals?
Honestly, I don't know too much on that right now, honestly, because I don't want to just say anything.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't really know too much on that.
How have you guys looked so far in summer workouts, your new teammates, and, what are your thoughts on them?
Man, I think it's a great group of girls that's coming in, just with the pieces that we've added. They're hungry, they love basketball, they're committed to the sport. So if you have some other players that want to hoop and that want to win, it's always going to be great. Like I said, I don't put no limits on the season on what we can do. We, shooting for the stars and beyond that. So just be on the lookout for us. We locked in. The summer has been great. Just the training and us preparing. We look great. Everybody's locked in, and it's a journey. It's gonna be It's gonna have its ups and downs. But the great thing about it, we're building that chemistry. We're building that bond. So us being able to be together and to be, tight as, a family, a group, a sisterhood, can't nobody break that. Can't nobody get in between that. So we're going to just continue to, cultivate that environment, that culture, to where we build a, family-oriented, but not only just family-oriented, but a winning culture and a championship culture and that champion type identity for us all. So, yeah, it's been great. Honestly, I would just say, tune in, definitely tune in.
Any last questions from Andy, James, or Will for Laila Blair?
I have one more, and this is kind of like a peek behind the curtain. So this is actually kind of convenient that both you and James are current UH students are wearing red on this episode. But obviously, you guys are going to go back to classes this upcoming week. I'm curious from a student athlete perspective, what is that first week like when you guys got to go back to classes? But obviously, of course, you guys have kind of been in on campus a while, just in terms of the workouts. What is that transition usually like? That's something you don't hear often from the student athlete perspective.
I think it's, everybody, going into fall, going into your classes, a lot of athletes, just I would say for as far as coming from, women's basketball, being a basketball player, as far as we always anticipate the season. So when we start those fall classes, all we got on our minds really like the season about to start. This is prep time, it's go time now because practice is about to start end of September. Man, it's just, me personally, this is how I think, going into classes, I'm locked in as far as, with my academics and everything, because I know, like, if I'm not excelling in a class, I won't be eligible as far as when it comes to season time. So I think it's just a whole different type of mindset that you go into, this fall semester with, because you got to lock in on the athletic side and the academic side. So it's amazing because, I love this. This is my passion. So I embrace it all, honestly. But really anticipating, the season and, everything that comes with that.
James, Will, any final questions for Laila?
I'm good.
Yeah, I have one. Laila, everything that you do, we talked about classes starting this week and NIL responsibilities, basketball. How do you prioritize? How do you balance as a woman of faith, a student athlete? How do you balance?
My motto, man, GFIE, God first in everything. If I keep him the number one priority, everything else gonna take care of itself. And I won't sit here and act like, when it's on my own accord, I can be able to manage the things that I'm juggling by myself. No, this is by the strength of God. And he's leading me in his divine wisdom that he's given me to just be able to have this platform, just to have these, resources that I have and being able to, uphold it. Because at the end of the day, he's upholding me. That's why I'm able to uphold the things that I have. So I'd be crazy to not say, me keeping, God first and everything doesn't play a role in it. But that definitely, which it really does, is the main thing. And that's why that actually is my brand. That is basically who I am. I live by that motto. And I guess I want it to show to people, like when they, just with the question you asked me, just having this opportunity right here just to tell you. So I'm thankful for that. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely.
Laila, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the show.
Thank you for having me, man. Thanks for the invite.
And we'll see you this season. So you take care, all right?
Thank you, Laila.
Thank you, guys. Have a blessed day.
You too.
You too.
You as well.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Man.
All right. That was great. And I didn't want to ask her about it, but it looked like she had some photo shoot equipment behind her, like the lighting and the umbrella and stuff. And I was like, she might be doing something right now that she took time out to join us. So thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. All right. And comments from Wise Citizens and Tony appreciated her great answers. And on top of all that, she can hoop too. Okay. So she's a great person off the court and a very good basketball player on the court. Okay. Willy Gibson.
Yes, sir.
Any final comments from you before we wrap it up on this edition of Folks Talkin Sports?
Great get by you, man. You never cease to amaze. That was phenomenal. She's impressive. Like I said, I meant that. I've heard of her. I've never had the interaction with her. Super impressive. I'll definitely be paying attention more this season.
All right, folks. How can folks appreciate that, sir? You are Willy Gibson. How can folks interact with you on social media, sir?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WillGibson7. Will Knowles on Facebook. WTGsports.com, and be on the lookout for that because we're in a revamping stage and things are coming. Stay tuned.
And I wonder, sir, could one of those things be something that Mr. AJ talked with me about as well?
I don't know what he talked to you about, but things are coming.
Okay. All right. Andy Yanez, how can folks interact with you, sir, on social media?
For sure, they can follow me on Twitter at @ayanez_5. Please be sure to subscribe to Podslam and Gem on wherever you listen to your podcast, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcast, or on YouTube at the Clutch City Control Room YouTube account. Be sure to subscribe and like all our episodes and stay posted for Let's Reach Cougs, like we mentioned during the show. Now, under 13 days for that September 3 kickoff, and that will be right here on the Houston Roundball Review shortly after the conclusion of Houston UTSA that kicks off September 3rd. So exciting football season is here, and like you say, Kris, once football season rolls around, the year kind of it feels like time kind of speeds up once football season starts.
James, before I come to you, man, this just popped in my head when Andy touched on the football team. Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, I think it was today, writers discussed the AAC teams overrated, underrated. Dennis Dodd, he listed the Cougs as being underrated. Okay. He said, I'm paraphrasing, James, I want you to comment on this first because you vote, part of the poll for the college writers. He said, if the Cougs win at Texas Tech, they could go 12-0 and be the AAC's version this year of Cincinnati last year. Thoughts on that?
I mean, it's true that they'll have the same record as Cincinnati, but I mean, there's going to be 2-loss Big 12, SEC, Big 10 teams that are above them because just the strength of schedule. I don't see, even if they go 12-0, unless they win every game by 50 points where they're just blowing out completely and flexing their muscle, then I don't see a path to the college football playoff.
Andy?
No, like James said it, they'll have the same record. There's almost zero chance that they end up being in the top 4 in the college football playoff. And I can't remember which graphic. It was something I saw during the week where they broke down the I believe it was the new Big 12 schools and how many ranked opponents they're going to be facing. Houston is not going to be facing a single top 25 ranked opponent, at least as of the preseason poll heading into the 2022 season. So even if they can manage the sweep, and I agree, I feel like that Texas Tech game is probably going to be, if not the toughest game on the schedule, certainly second toughest, with at SMU right up there in terms of the Cougars. If they can beat Texas Tech, that'll certainly set a strong standard. But even if they are 12-0, I don't see them cracking the top 4.
Yeah, New Year's Six Bowl is
that's the limit. Yeah.
Okay, Will, any thoughts on that before we wrap it up? Go back to James, close it out.
No.
I read that and I was like, what the hell?
No.
All right, James Mueller, how can people find you, sir, on social media?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at JDM2186, and then all my coverage for everything related UH is on thedailycougar.com.
And I'm Kris Gardner of Houston Roundball Review, Twitter VHR Review, Houston Roundball Review on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you very much for tuning in to another edition of Folks Talkin Sports. Great job by Andy, Will, James. Really appreciate Houston Cougars guard Laila Blair taking time out to joining us this evening. We had one other person lined up. She was unable to join us. Maybe sometime in the future we'll get her on. I'm not going to mention her name, but we can talk about it off air about her. But great job as always, Tony, Wise Citizens, LP from London. Thank you for tuning in. And we will see everyone, I think, next Sunday. Will, where are you for next Sunday?
I'm here. That's good.
All right, Andy.
No.
Oh.
I'm traveling. I'm sorry. I won't. We'll talk.
Okay. All right. We'll talk. All right. Andy James, how about you?
Should work. Good.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Obviously, you can watch the show on YouTube at Houston Roundball Review and Twitter, Folks Talkin Sports, but you can also listen to it on the podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. So do that also. And guys, you got to help me out. I do a poor job pumping it up, mentioning it. Hit those like buttons, hit the stars, recommended, all those good things on the audio podcast platforms. Thank you very much as always. Until next Sunday, take care. Peace.